This story takes place in India, home to a rich patchwork of peoples, cultures, and ancestral skills. This is the story of a man who was born in Venice and who in 1993 decided to leave France for the Indian subcontinent. It's the story of a man whose embroidery workshops collaborate with some of the great names in haute couture. It's the story of Maximiliano, who has been working tirelessly to see embroiderers take their rightful place in Indian society.
My job isn't easy to define. I always say I'm a conductor between India and France, but in a much more down-to-earth sense, I'm an embroiderer.
After studying design and with a budding career in a Paris fashion house, Max made his first trip to India. There, he discovered some exceptional craftsmanship. He fell in love with that fascinating country and decided to move there.
I went to see the weaving in Varanasi. I saw the embroidery in Mumbai, the block printing in Jaipur, the tie and dye in Gujarat. And in the end, I realized that of all these skills, there is one which has no limit. Embroidery opens up a range of possibilities that the other techniques do not offer.
In India, embroidery has left its stamp since antiquity. Each region has its own style. The designs are as varied as Indian culture. Indian embroiderers excel in applying decoration using thread on different fabrics and raise this artisanal skill to the height of an art form. Although women embroider for personal uses, as a profession, embroidery is done by men. Mumbai, the gateway to India. To begin with, it didn't have a name. Local fishermen called it Mumba, in reference to a deity. Then the Portuguese called it Bombaim, meaning good bay. Whether Mumbai or Bombay, the city has since had time to forge its identity. Situated on the west coast of India, it's a sprawling megalopolis. The city can be gridlocked at all hours of the day. Max uses this precious time in his car to work.
Hello. I hope you're working hard. Yes, it's really nice. What I'm going to do is, on Monday morning, I'll send the photos of the samples. I'll send them Monday, and you'll have them on Wednesday morning.
For the past 23 years, Max has been defending the profession of embroiderer in India. Today, his embroiderers work with some of the top names in international haute couture. Max is returning from Paris with the latest creations of a major designer, which are due to be embroidered for his upcoming show.
How are you? All good? Moise, this one there. This one there, corner. Urgent priority piece, one more frame for this one. Okay, so this one remove, put it over there, okay? Here, this one close the frame, this part, okay. Yeah, 3 mm black sequence here, and then black cardana, black cardana, black cardana. Okay, no crystals. Okay?
In the workshop, the men work in silence. The only sound, the hum of the fans. They sew on sequins, pearls, and ribbons, using two techniques: Zardozi embroidery, done using a needle, and Ahari embroidery, done with a hook. The fine embroidery we're familiar with today is Persian embroidery. In the 17th century, the Mughal emperors encouraged its development, and it was under their rule that many Persian artisans set up in India.
This arrival of a Persian population in India brought an influx of Muslim craftsmen to Agra. That's why today, the majority of the artisans that one might consider practitioners of an Indian art are in fact Muslim. 98% of the embroiderers we employ are Muslim. A tiny percentage are Hindu.
The embroiderers work together and hold their hooks precisely, taking care to be in perfect harmony.
Today in the workshop, there are 24 embroiderers, and this will rise to 50, 60 embroiderers, which is the size of a Parisian workshop. On this project, there's an average of 360 hours of embroidery per design. Fortunately, it's in pieces.
The dresses arrive in the workshop in pieces: top, bottom, sleeves, back, which allows the embroiderers to work. Once decorated, each part of the dress is sent back to Paris to be assembled ahead of the catwalk show. In 1993, Max met Asdin Alaya and worked with him in his Paris studio. This encounter radically changed the course of his life.
In 92-93, Asdin was the high priest of fashion. Everyone wanted to work with Alaya. You thought you might work with all sorts of people, but you never managed to work with Asdin Alaya and be lucky enough to work with a god. Then one day, that god says to you, "Why don't you come and work with me?" Wow. Those 4 years I shared with Asdin, working day and night, thinking, understanding, creating, trying things out, undoing them, redoing them, basting, unbasting, these were key for me. Because I finally realized that you mustn't make any compromises. And if you're capable of sticking to a course, then you can arrive in a territory which will be your own. He told me in 1997, "You're not a great designer, but you're a great dress decorator." And suddenly, I liked the idea of being a dress decorator. On March 1st, 1998, I took a one-way trip to Mumbai.
Over the past 10 years, the city of Mumbai has been undergoing steady change. Today, it is home to some 15 million inhabitants, including 50,000 embroiderers. Most of them live and work in the 600 workshops in the heart of the city, in what is known as the Muslim Quarter. In another 5 to 10 years, the embroiderers will have been forced out of town, driven out by unsustainable real estate inflation. In certain neighborhoods, prices can reach up to 30,000 euros per square meter. In Mumbai, two worlds exist alongside one another, but for how much longer? Traditionally in India, everything is organized around specialist markets. The Paithani market supplies all the workshops in Mumbai. It sells everything: pearls, spangles, ribbons, sequins. Max comes here to be inspired by new materials.
Yeah, this is what I'm looking for. Show me. Show me everything which is in mother of pearl color. This one is interesting. And what are these stones here?
Small 28 SS round.
And then you can get in all these colors.
Yeah.
This one is weird, but we never know.
They're crazy, aren't they? Look. That's really something.
Give me two like this. I don't know what to do with this, but
In this one, you get all the shades if you want to know.
yeah, I know, because you can do all the
Enamels, yeah.
enamels, all the colors. Yeah, I know that.
I'm not sure what I'll do with them, but it doesn't matter for now. Sometimes you realize later what you can use it for.
25 gram, 25. You've done the other ones, huh? The ones I gave you.
Yeah.
You took it out, huh?
Okay.
Oh yeah, it's here. Wonderful. This one I want.
उस दिन महीना ले चल रहा है ऑलरेडी.
Show me everything you think can be interesting.
You want in white texture effect?
Show me. The color is nice here.
Yeah.
We take 50 grams of each?
Yes.
Huh? Chalo. 50 grams of each, 50 grams of each. Je crois
Would you
que...
like to see caviar?
Caviar?
Yeah.
Real caviar?
No, no.
Ah.
No.
Show me. If it was real caviar, you would know how to talk to me. But it's not real. Okay, let's see.
Indeed, it does look like caviar. The glass pearl is crushed on one face. It costs 200 euros for 400 grams.
400 grams. It's too expensive. Okay, still give me some black. Give me a little bit of black. I'm going to see if it can work on something.
Yeah, this size or smaller or bigger?
No. This one is which size?
11.
It's a regular. Give me the regular one. And give me the chota one also. For the more than 50 grams of each. Okay? And then we'll see if we can use it.
To begin with, people told me the embroiderers would never move from the Muslim quarter, which is why I set up my first workshop in that neighborhood. But then I realized that I shouldn't listen to what people told me and that anything is possible. If I wanted to establish something sustainable, I absolutely had to get out of that neighborhood and escape the very particular mentality of the Mumbai workshops, where embroiderers live, they sleep, and work in the same place. To my mind, that's no way to work. It's a city which gives a great deal, but it's also a vampire city. That's why I'm always glad when we get back to the workshop, because it's a privileged space where you're protected from the city.
Surrounded by skyscrapers, a symbol of modern India, the workshop is located at Shakti Mills in the Mahalaxmi neighborhood on the edge of the Muslim quarter. This area is where the textile factories once weaved cotton. Although the embroiderers have been practicing their art since the 18th century, their status is now evolving.
There's a tradition in India where craftsmen are paid by the day. Even today in the Muslim quarter, the embroiderers are paid by the day or week. In 2005, I decided to turn things on their head and totally do away with that system. My embroiderers became real employees. It wasn't an easy transition because even they didn't understand what it meant to be an employee. It means having Social Security and paying into a retirement fund. For them, that was all very strange. You have to remember, most of the Muslim embroiderers don't have a bank account. So we opened bank accounts for them and in a way brought them into the system. A lot of artisans and sons of artisans give up the trade. It's easier for them today to be a taxi driver in Mumbai than an embroiderer. So we have to guarantee the embroiderers some continuity, so they can continue to learn, continue to improve, and then become entrepreneurs themselves.
Eux-mêmes ensuite devenir entrepreneurs.
Indian society is generally very structured, very rigid. So once a position has been defined for you, you don't leave it. Here, that's absolutely not the case. Moïse is my foreman, who I started out with. We've been working together for nearly 18 years. He trained as an embroiderer, obviously. So there's a real understanding, a real dialogue, and genuine mutual respect between Moïse and myself. He can understand my tastes, he's able to understand the instructions I give, so we complement each other. Between me, the tornado in the workshop, and him, who's extremely calm, things balance out.
Nice, beautiful. Very beautiful. Yeah, very beautiful.
तो जैसा उन्होंने किया वैसा ही होगा, same.
Avantika is my main artistic collaborator. She has a real passion for creation. I can ask Avantika to sit down for a week with the embroiderers and come up with lots of ideas. She is as passionate as me about the proliferation of creative possibilities that embroidery offers.
I did graduation in fashion and textile designing, and this is my first job after completion of my graduation.
Love the colors mixed with the patches. I had a good idea, no? Putting the patches.
If I need to explore a creation when I'm in Europe, it's Avantika who I'm going to call. I'll explain it to her and she will launch the development.
I assist him in designing, in the research samplings, like whenever some buyer asks us for new designs. I mostly love doing the new research, like whenever I'm stressed or something also. Work-wise, if I have a workload also, but if new design comes in, I'm very happy to do that. Working with this many Muslim men, whether it might be Hindu men also, it like, you know, you by default get like, okay, it's problematic. It should be, but I find myself strong and never felt any problem like that till now here.
We need both Hindus and Muslims in the managerial team. Moïse is a Muslim, she is a Hindu, and for me, it has never been a problem to have this cultural mix, this religious mix within the workshop.
Wait, weren't you asked to turn this around? Start at this end?
From where?
From the skirt. Won't it be more beneficial since there won't be any patches?
No, it's all the same. It might take longer than expected. We can do it from the bottom up, not the other way around.
Not only do they work together in peace, but this coexistence is enriching. The point of view of a Hindu co-creator and that of a Muslim is different because of their backgrounds. I can dip into this dialogue and then take a decision. My problem is the number of hours we have left to do the embroidery. We're just working it out. I have to get it finished. You know what I mean. Have you got anything else to send me tonight? Okay, all right. You have to stop sending stuff. It won't be ready for the show. All right? Perfect. Very good. I'll keep you posted. Talk to you later. We're on the back foot. It's going to take a miracle. I don't know how we're going to do it. It's been a challenge every day. for the past 23 years. You have to earn your place in India every day. You don't just earn it to begin with, and then suddenly you've got India served up on a platter. No way. India means every day. You have to stay on top of your game and make sure that what's happening in India is in step with the fashion industry in the West.
Now start with the white, put me one piece, and we know that 12 pieces is unprocessed. This is good. Le temps indien n'est pas une ligne.
Indian time is not linear. Indian time is a wheel. It's a wheel that is eternally starting over. By contrast, for the rhythm of a fashion collection, you have to see things in a much more linear way, because we have deadlines in 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. Indian time is not the same in Mumbai, in Lucknow, in Jaipur, or in the south of India. It's not the same for Hindus, and it's not the same for Muslims. Sometimes I feel like I'm a metronome. I keep the tempo between India and the West.
How are you? Good to see you. Good to see you. Long time, isn't it? Very long time. We need this kind of events. I was in New York, I was in Miami, I was in Paris, I was in London, I was in Brussels, I was again in Paris, and then came back this morning.
Anyway, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It's overwhelming.
How are you?
It's been very long.
Isn't it?
You're traveling too much.
You didn't see it in the cards that I was traveling too much?
Max often makes a flying visit to Lucknow. The city has long had an active embroidery sector. A center of Shiite culture in India, Lucknow is located on the plain of the Ganges, more than 1,400 kilometers from Mumbai. In the 18th century, it became a cultural beacon in northern India under the influence of the Nawabs of Persian origin, who then attracted numerous artists and artisans. Today, this sleeping beauty seems to have been overlooked to the profit of Benares, its celebrated neighbor. Since he arrived in India, Max has strived on a daily basis to improve the lot of the local embroiderers and is continually trying to take their skills to the level of excellence. The embroiderers mainly come from the Bay of Bengal and Uttar Pradesh. They moved with their families to work in the workshops of Mumbai. That's also the case for some of the embroiderers who work with Max. But in India, family ties remain very important, and so moving to another region means great upheaval for them. 1 year ago, Max took on a fresh challenge. He opened a workshop in Lucknow to allow 20 of his embroiderers to move back home.
It was a gamble for them to say, okay, we've been settled in Mumbai for a few years. We're going to go back to our families. But there's no reason why an embroiderer, if he could be a professional in Mumbai, couldn't do the same job in Lucknow, surrounded by his family. And today, the success of this pilot project confirms this intuition. We're carrying out technical trials so that production can start in exactly 3 days. So for the past 2 weeks, they've been training on this pattern. It's not that the sequins are very complicated, but it's a bit like a stave in music. It has to be perfect. The most important thing is teaching rigor, doing, undoing, redoing, stopping. You scrap it, you start over. The embroiderer has to get to the point where he understands that if he doesn't want to have to undo yet again what he has just spent 10 hours doing, then he had better go slowly and think about the embroidery he's doing. So 28,000 hours of embroidery, 28,200 hours. That's right. If one embroiderer had to produce this alone, it would take 3,120 days of work. In other words, almost 9 years.
When his schedule allows, Max likes to spend a little time in the old European quarter, the Residency. In 1857, the Residency was at the heart of a merciless battle between Indians and the British. Sections of the wall still show signs of cannon shot. The effervescence of the city does nothing to disturb the tranquility of this place.
You can almost hear the music that used to be played in these houses. You get an impression of what life used to be like for those British officers and their families in the Residency. And you can feel the struggle that took place between the two cultures, the Indian nationalists at the time fighting for their independence, and the British officers. Each stone, each tree, each moment recalls a piece of Italy. It's the Appian Way, the Forum of Rome. It's the little streets in Venice. You're really at the crossroads of my native civilization and my adopted civilization. I really feel at home here. It's true, I've always been between two cultures, between Italian culture and French culture, and between Western culture and Indian culture. And I think what I found in India is an additional, complementary element to European culture. At the end of the day, the thing about Italy, where I'm from, is that Italy is the most wonderful open-air museum, all those ruins, the past which is omnipresent. And India is almost the total opposite, with a very glorious past, yet with an intense youthfulness which is building a future, a land which is permanently forward-looking.
In the Mumbai workshop, the designers from the best schools concentrate on the task at hand.
Embroidery design is, for me, the most important part, because if the design is not good, you know the finished embroidery will be poor.
It looks like we're going to have to redo this.
When the tracing is ready, we have to transfer it. If the design is very small and detailed, this has to be done by hand. That can take hours. It can take days. It might even be up to a week of work from the start of the design to the moment when the tracing is ready to be printed. Once the tracing is ready to be printed, we prepare the material. and we print it with a chalk powder mixed with water and a little turpentine. So this powder leaves a mark on the fabric and then immediately evaporates. The tracing must move as little as possible, so the line of the embroidery is as precise as possible. It's a very artisanal technique.
We go.
There.
Voilà. Et là, le motif est
The design is printed and ready to be handed on to the embroiderer.
Thank you, Sonia.
Now all we have to do is do it.
In India, embroidery is sometimes done on the ground. The fabric is spread over a camp bed called a kathya. In Europe, women embroider freehand, sitting in a chair. The position and the movements are not interchangeable between East and West. To complete the samples, Avantika visits the dyer to find the perfect color for both the fabric and the thread.
Is it all the same fabric?
Yes, it's all the same fabric.
Okay.
Here's 1, 2, 3.
अब ब्लू कलर का
This blue.
ये वाला कलर हाँ
This looks good.
Dyers can also dye the pearls and sequins, but the color doesn't hold. Max doesn't use this method because his embroidery requires pearls of impeccable quality.
Hello, Moise. I'll be back at the office in 30 minutes.
हाँ नीचे ही है मैक्स ठीक है थैंक यू
At the moment, I'm looking for much more graphic motifs, things that are much more urban, city-inspired. We'll see. I'm trying things out. It's key that we're not only technically at the cutting edge, but also creatively, so we can contribute to reflection by developing samples, trying things out, and I hope that will spark some ideas for the creators. It's a genuine dialogue. Sometimes I have the answer. Sometimes I know exactly what I want, and sometimes it's they who come up with the answer. That's what's great in the dialogue with the artisan, in whatever field of expertise it may be. It's the dialogue between creativity and handiwork, and how that handiwork will transpose or translate the idea that one projects.
The Oval Maidan is located between the ocean and the workshop. Acres of lawns surrounded by prestigious buildings, the clock tower and the university. It's one of the only parks in the center of the city, and as such, is an important venue for popular activities, like cricket, the national sport inherited from the former colonial power.
Moise, how many hours? 4:30. 4:30 hours. And still going on.
Next one we'll do better.
I have to be sure that what arrives on the other side of the world is perfect. Well, that won't be exactly perfect because the back is not as good as the front, but at some point you just have to stop.
Okay. Yeah, remove all those.
It's ready. It's no longer an embroidery. It's no longer a piece of fabric. It's become a material in its own right. It's become like a real second skin. I thought we'd never finish this black dress. No kidding. It's entirely covered in sequins, and 3mm sequins at that. Because obviously, it would have been a whole lot easier with 5mm or 6mm sequins, but the master chose 3mm, which explains the embroidery time. 430 hours of embroidery in 1 week. And what's more, during the cricket semi-final. People don't realize the sacrifices the Indians make.
Bablou, chalo. They will finish in Paris. We don't have time left.
The 26 embroiderers have worked flat out on this collection, and now they have to recuperate, catch their breath, and get back to a normal rhythm.
After the excitement of the last few hours, the Muslim embroiderers can now take it easy. Their Hindu co-workers make the most of the time off to celebrate Holi, the festival of colors. It is celebrated across India and heralds the arrival of spring. During his first years in India, Max stayed in Jaipur, the capital of Rajasthan in northern India. It is known as the Pink City, the color of hospitality. Jaipur is a major artisanal center, its skills recognized around the world. Everything can be found here, from precious stones to textiles. Max comes here regularly for inspiration. The air here is sweeter than in Mumbai, and the pace less frenetic. After 20 years in India, Max has created the kind of space he'd always dreamed of. An experimental laboratory where young Indian designers show their latest creations.
What I wanted to do was to apply the extremely traditional skill of Zardosi embroidery onto a material that is also very traditional, which is wood, and to combine the two in a way that no one has thought of doing before. The idea was really that I'd like to embroider on wood to get away from classic textiles and embroider other materials which, on the face of it, cannot be embroidered. You really have to push artists, designers, creators, and artisans to work even more closely together. The artist can have a vision, and the artisan, who the artist calls upon to convey that vision, will be able to go beyond the technical aspects and will find the solution to produce that vision. That's why both are essential. They're really two hands on the same body.
Max supports both artisans and artists. In the Sculptors' Quarter, he pays a visit to Prashant Pandey, a young contemporary Indian artist who exhibits his work on the international stage. He welcomes Max in the sculpture workshop that was used by his father and grandfather before him.
So good to see you.
Me too.
How's the family?
It's good.
Good?
All is well.
The baby?
Perfect.
Perfect.
Very
Growing?
naughty.
Very naughty. Baby's going to be the 4th generation, huh?
4th generation.
You're the
I'm
third?
Yeah, third generation with this work and in the art, with the traditional nature, as in the 4th generation is introducing. This is for the temples we are preparing.
Wow, these are the new sculptures, huh?
Yeah.
I love it. Wow, this one is beautiful.
Yeah.
Prashant works are shown in his gallery, a short walk from the family workshop.
You are my first buyer.
Oh,
It's my first show. So this was the first work.
Nobody could think that it's cigarette butts, you know, but it's just...
Yeah, it's like a carpet and hanging. It's flowers.
Yeah. Looks like a moon, a beautiful moon.
Max supports Indian artists, but he's intrinsically linked to the local artisans. He has always strived to give these men and women a genuine pride in their expertise. In Lucknow, Max has the backing of the head of the Uttar Pradesh government to launch a major project. Together, they have undertaken to create a foundation to promote the work of the embroiderers.
Craft and artisans are part of an Indian tradition. And especially, this happens in families. The father does it, the son learns from him, but it's been going on in the family in this way. And so that it doesn't end, that is why I felt it should be encouraged. We should financially help them because it can change people's lives. Because it is not a small number who are involved in this. There are millions of people who are concerned.
For the project, the state has given him premises in the center of the city.
This is going to be the place.
Right.
Okay, with one main entrance here on the side.
Right.
Okay, a second main entrance which is right in front of us. And then another section where you can go at the back here and you can enter.
Wow.
The foundation is born out of a desire to recognize the skills of the embroiderers. How can we acknowledge the value of this skill, and how can we help them to be recognized within Indian society?
Incredible, no?
The core idea of the foundation is to provide a certificate to embroiderers, and also to establish a minimum wage associated with this know-how.
Spectacular, no?
The foundation will train and educate the embroiderers and award them a diploma. But the embroiderers who pass through this center of excellence must themselves relay their skills to other embroiderers in Uttar Pradesh. Here, along with the chief minister, we have undertaken to have an impact on at least 100,000 people.
Careful to the door.
If this expertise is not protected, supported, developed, and maintained at a level of excellence, it will be lost forever. I'm convinced that the day this know-how disappears from India, then it will no longer exist on the surface of the earth. It is over.
Back in Mumbai, Max goes to the Muslim quarter to visit his master who taught him embroidery. Originally from Lucknow, Liaquat is considered one of the most creative embroiderers in Mumbai.
All good. You're 44?
Yeah, 44.
22 में इंडिया आए
You were 22 when you came to India.
Wow, time flies, huh?
Now all this is white. My desire is to do embroidery for another 10 years.
At least, minimum.
Minimum 10 years.
20, this. Only I can, this. Okay, you'll still be young, I'll still be young, so we have 20 years.
In the next 10 years, I want there to be something new every day. Only then is it fun to work.
It's now our responsibility to create teams of carriers in Lucknow, okay? Because if we can create teams of carriers here in Bombay, of course we can create it in Lucknow.
I want to do something new. If I become a teacher, then my brain will stagnate. I want to develop something new.
Yes. No, but you can still teach and develop, you know? We'll do the two things in Lucknow.
Of course, if you invite me. It'll take time. It's possible with time.
You need time. Yes, you need time. We know that craft requires time. Okay, it's not going to happen like this. It didn't happen here like this. It didn't happen in my unit like this.
If there is time, we work hard and pay them good salaries, then it can happen.
Training, time, salary.
Good salary.
Of course.
If we pay them good salaries, then they can be ready.
Salary recognition. It's a beginning. Beginning of new chapter. New challenge.
A new challenge.
The act of embroidering is an act of transpiercing. So you leave a mark in time. You've marked your time. You have left your imprint on something as ordinary as a piece of fabric. But that imprint remains and can never be removed. It stays. In 10 years' time, I'll still be here embroidering, and no doubt yelling about the fact that we're behind schedule and they haven't left us enough time. Of course, I'll still be here 10 years from now. In 10 years, in 20 years, in 30 years, right to the end. Right to the end. I'm sure about that, right to the end. I'll get there with the embroiderers. I know that one day, the Indians will understand the exceptional, unique character of all these people. And they will make sure the structures are in place not only to support them, but to ensure that anyone who wants to perpetuate this skill has the resources to continue and will be paid a fair price.